YTBC, this is your boy Coach Shelton Harrison. Now, guys, you know what? I'm sick and tired of Dan Ambrose. I'm sick and tired of Oscar De La Hoya fans, and I'm sick and tired of Dan Ambrose. And I'm going to tell you why I'm sick of the two. First of all, I'm sick and tired of Dan Ambrose bashing Canelo Alvarez every chance he get. Every chance this man make an article, it seemed like somewhere he putting Canelo Alvarez in his article. Now, God dog it, Dan, I done told you. I done already told you once before, Dan Ambrose. Now, you keep bashing Canelo, and I'm going to start bashing you, man. First of all, Dan, let's get on you. I mean, this dude is a boxing writer, and I'm thinking the website Boxing News 24, it has to be a website for a lot of beginning writers who don't even know anything about the sport of boxing. Dan Ambrose got a grammar problem. His grammar sucks when he's writing these articles, man. I'm sitting here reading this crap, and I'm like, this dude, grammar is screwed up. He misspelled words on a regular. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, this dude is a boxing writer. You got to be kidding me. Dan Ambrose, we already know. We already know that Canelo needs to move up to 160. I have come out on video and I've said this about my fighter. I've come out and said this, Dan Ambrose. And you still want to keep bringing it up every chance you get. He can't just talk about the fight. He talking about, well, Canelo Alvarez, really, he only got one loss on his record, but he really lost 3 times, you know? Like, what the hell? You a biased writer now? You biased, Dan? Dan, you're an idiot. I mean, Dan Ambrose is an idiot, man. This guy, I don't even know what else to think, man. I don't even know, if somebody, you can't, and I try to research Dan Ambrose, can't find nothing on him, can't find no photo, I can't find nothing. But I tell you what, if Dan Ambrose come out with another bad article about Canelo, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call up Boxing 24, and I'm going to put y'all on the phone. We're going to do a speakerphone call, and I'm going to try to get this idiot on the phone. Because I'm sick and tired of his poor article writing, man. This dude sucks, man, at being a boxing writer. And then he going off of a breakdown, too, that Victor Ortiz and Joe Diaz talked about. Wait a minute. Now, okay, now I'll listen to Joe Diaz. Victor Ortiz? I ain't listening to no Victor Ortiz, Dan Ambrose. Victor Ortiz quitting his fights. Victor Ortiz is a punk. Who is going to listen to Victor Ortiz, Dan Ambrose? Answer the question. And I'm sick of you Oscar De La Hoya fans. Because what are you going to say about this? Now, you always say Coach Shelton Harrison always talking bad about Oscar. Well, what are you going to say about this? Dan Ambrose talking bad about Oscar. Saying Oscar De La Hoya is giving Canelo all these excuses. But you ain't going to hear not one word from you Oscar De La Hoya fans that think Coach Shelton Harrison is just picking on him. Well, what about this? Dan Ambrose, every time I turn around, he Floyd Mayweather out of boxing, so he has now conveniently picked sold Canelo Alvarez to pick on. Just all that stuff, man. All that stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, really and truly, the guy, he's got something against Canelo. There's something that Dan Ambrose just don't like about Canelo. I'm trying to think, maybe, I don't know, maybe Canelo got with his mom. Maybe Canelo stole his girlfriend. I mean, I don't know what it is with Dan Ambrose, okay? Who knows? Who knows? But I know this. Dan Ambrose is also, he's a Ronda Rousey simp. I can tell you that much. Dan Ambrose is a disgrace to any boxing writer out there. He's a disgrace. He's a disgrace to the sport of boxing. He is. And that's just the way that is. Okay, you look at this dude, you go look up an article written by Dan Ambrose. You look up an article and I guarantee you, he'll find some way to put Canelo Alvarez in the article. He'll find some way to do it. He will find some way. Talking about, oh, well, he gonna have a tough time against Cotto because he ain't fought nobody. He done fought against Alfredo Angulo and James Kirkland, these flat-footed fighters. Okay. That's how we want to go with this, Dan Ambrose. Dan Ambrose, you're a lightweight. Okay, you are a lightweight. You suck at writing. Okay, man, I don't even know what to say about you. I really and truly wish that you could ever step your ass in the ring. You writing these articles like you've been in the ring. Dan Ambrose, you probably was the guy at school that got his lunch taken. Dan Ambrose, people probably took your lunch money. Dan Ambrose, people probably stuffed you in the locker. Dan Ambrose, I'm sure you got a pair of glasses and a jelly belly stomach. And I'm sure that somebody took your glasses and pissed on them and put them in a toilet, Dan Ambrose. I'm sure, Dan Ambrose, you got these Ichabod Crane fingers. Like He got these big old fingers probably the size of sausages. Because all he do is he work his fingers by getting on the computer all day. That's all Dan Ambrose would do. I can see a picture of Dan Ambrose looking all silly and goofy. Okay, and that's just the way that is. Yeah, Dan Ambrose, you're a disgrace, man. You are a disgrace to the code of writing boxing writers all over the world. You're a disgrace, man. I can't stand this guy. I just can't stand him. Maybe one day, hopefully, they'll get smart and they'll fire this idiot. They'll fire him. Because talking about if Canelo loses this fight, it's going to be a major blow to Oscar De La Hoya. Oh, Oscar De La Hoya ain't going to make no excuses now. I mean, man, I can't stand this guy. If any of the boxing writers who get up under my skin is this idiot right here, Dan Ambrose, you guys, y'all going to have to tell me what you think about this. You De La Hoya fans, step up. Won't y'all say something about this? Say something. Don't just talk about Coach always picking on Oscar. I ain't saying not one negative thing about Oscar. But I tell you what, though. I tell you what. I'm going to go in on Dan Ambrose every chance I get. And if you De La Hoya fans don't speak up about this, if I don't hear anything from y'all, I'm going in on Oscar De La Hoya every chance I get. Because you guys need to keep it consistent. You got to keep this consistent. I want to hear some of your thoughts about this. What do you think about why is Dan Ambrose bashing Canelo like he is? I mean, it's pissing me off, man. I'm getting ticked off because every time I turn around, this man got Canelo name in his mouth. What are you going to do, Dan Ambrose, when Canelo win that fight against Cotto? What are you going to do, Dan? You know what? And I'm going to come and I'm going to call. I'm going to figure out how to get in touch with this idiot. And I'm going to say, I told you Canelo would win. This is your boy, Coach Shelton Harrison. I'm done.